Hello, hello, hello. Patricia here, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, but more specifically in Alaska. And today I am going to do a very, very basic video. And this is on supplies that you need and how to create a basic card. I've seen a lot of requests for that. So I am going to do a very quick little kind of introductory to stamping, and let me move a little bit here. There we go. And show you some basic pieces of equipment that you're going to need. One of the first things you want is a paper trimmer of some sort. Now, I love the one from Stampin' Up! It is a good trimmer. It may not be the absolute best, but for the kind of trimmer that it is amazing. And it is one that I would suggest as a starter trimmer, and it can carry you on into more advanced. Now, the reason I say a starter trimmer is because I cut a lot of paper. I teach classes, so I do a lot. If you just do cards for yourself, then you're probably going to be fine with a trimmer like this. So let me show you some of the features and the things that I like about this. One, there's a way to hang it up. And I have I'll try to remember at the end of this video to show you where I have things hanging on my wall beside my desk, and that will give you some ways maybe that you can store your equipment. I do not want to store everything that I use on my desktop, but I want to have it available. So one of the first things I want is to be able to hang this up. Then there is this bar. This is to protect your hands and to hold your paper down. So let's start and let me show you some things that you want to do. So this is an 8.5 by 11. The 11 is up here at the top. If I want to cut or score, and that brings in the next feature of this paper trimmer, I have a cutting blade and a scoring blade. Now, I suggest when you first get this that you kind of look at it and go, okay, this is a scoring blade, this is the cutting blade, and then write on here, score, cut. If that helps you to remember which is which, okay? Because you certainly don't want to cut when you mean to score. So you lift this up, get both of your blades out of the way, or one can go down here. Now, I will tell you this too. It depends on where you want your scoring and cutting blades. You can go down here to the bottom. It's very I don't even know if you can see it. Let me pull it up here. Right there. You see that little lip out of here? So I can pull, I can't do it one-handed though. I can pull that down and lift up my bar and pull this blade out, okay? If I don't want my scoring blade in here, pull it out and put it aside. I wouldn't get rid of it, because you may decide at some point that you really want to have it in there. And then just pop it back in that little space. And you'll notice here too, I'm pushing that protection piece of this cover out of the way so it'll pop down in there. All right. But if you want to move this to here, the score blade to here and the trimmer down here, whatever works for you, it is versatile and it will allow you to do that. Okay. Another thing is it has this bar that pulls out. I don't have to have it out all the time because I don't need it all the time. But let's say I want to cut or score at 9 inches. I can put my paper in my cardstock at 9 inches and then I can cut or score. Now, I don't want to do that right now because I don't really want to do that. But that's what I can do with this. It also has centimeters and inches. So let's pull that back in. And it does fit in there quite firmly, so it's not going to flop out on you. All right. So I can move both of those out of the way. I can move them up to the top, and they just fell out because I didn't get it all the way in there. So let me put that back in. There we go. Okay, now it's in, and it won't fall out. All right. So my paper trimmer is one of my first tools that I'm going to need. And now let's talk about what I can do with my cardstock. I want to make a card. I can either make a card, the typical, let's go with that, typical card is half a sheet of paper. Okay, one or the other. So how do I do that? I put my 8.5 by 11 in here. Let's say that I want to do this in the long way. Okay, I want my cardstock to be 11 by 4 1/4. So first I put it in here long. I'm going to go to half. So half of 11 is 5.5. I'm going to go to the 5.5 point or mark on here. I am not going to cut yet. I'm going to score. So I'm going to drag that score blade along there. By the way, the score blade is not going to cut. The trimming blade, I would not touch that in. It will cut. All right, move it out of the way. Then I'm going to turn it this way. Now this is 8.5, so I'm going to go to 4 1/4, which is half of that. And this time I do want to cut, so I'm going to cut. Now I have 2 card bases. Okay, they're going to either go this direction or this direction. Actually, you could even go this direction. Fold this in half and it could sit up like this. All right, we're not going to go there yet. But this is one way to make your cardstock, your basic card base. The next way is I've got my cardstock again, 8.5 by 11. This time I want, so I'm going to go to, again, every time it's half. So I'm on the 8.5. I want to go to 4 1/4 and get my cutting blade out of the way and score. Then turn it this way and cut at 5.5. Again, 11 inches. So half of that is 5.5. Now I have 2 cards that look like this. Okay, now let me show you something else. Do you see this little lip here? I am going to want to turn, this is going to be the front of my card so that that little lip does not show from the front. Now, if you don't really like that little lip, here's another thing you can do. This time, got my 8.5 by 11 again. I am going to put it in here. Now, I am not going to score it. I am simply going to put it in here at 5.5 and cut. Okay. Then, with both of those pieces, I can bring this over. I want to match up my edges perfectly. I want to get my bone folder. So this is the next tool that I may want to have. drag it across there, and now I don't have that lip. Now, here's the one thing I will say about not having that lip. It is a little bit harder for your recipient to open that card. Not much. Oh my goodness, it's not even worth worrying about. But this is my preferred method. Now, with all of these, they all are the same size. Okay, so I've got this one that is 5.5 by 4.25, 5.5 by 4.25, but it opens this way. Both of these, all three of these, open like this. This is also 5.5 by 4.25, but it opens this way or this way. They're all the same size. And as long as they're this size, they will fit in the medium envelopes. Okay? So your tools so far, just making your card base, nothing fancy. Your paper trimmer, your basic cardstock, we're starting with white, your bone folder. Now this I will tell you, you do not have to have a bone folder. Do I advise it? Absolutely. Maybe your first 20 cards, you don't have a bone folder. You could use the back of your thumb, okay? Score that. It's flat. It worked just fine. I could use a block. This is the block that my stamps are going to go on. I could use that. It is now. So let me show you what I'm talking about. You see how this pops up? You can see that it's not staying closed, so to speak. I can take my block and score it. I can take my bone folder and score it, or just use the back of my thumb. Now, I will tell you, the back of your thumb is going to hurt after a while if you do, 10 or 20 cards a day. More than maybe 4 or 5 cards. So now I have all of these card bases. There's the one I have not scored. Which is going to be your favorite? Mine is the bone folder, but whatever works for you. Stampin' Up. This one's gotten a little bit, whoops, you can't hardly see it anymore, a little bit used, so that is going to wear off in a few years. I've had it for probably, 5-6 years. Anyway, these are my card bases. They are ready to go. I do store these often. I will make a bunch of them and store them in a box. Okay, so I've got my card bases. I've got my envelopes. The next things that I might need, some kind of glue. I like liquid glue. So I've got Tombow Mono Liquid Multi Glue, whatever it's called. That's one that I use. I also have art glitter glue, and it's got a nozzle that you can buy with it to do very thin streams of glue. I don't use this one as much. I lived in Deering. I was a teacher there, but I don't live there anymore, so it came home with me. I put this on there so I know which ones needed to come home and which ones needed to stay in Deering when I came home for the summer. I do store these, both the liquid glues, upside down so that the glue is always ready at the tip. Okay? The next thing you might want, now if you're not into liquid glue, you might want a tape runner. I love Stampin Seal, I can say that, and it's just a runner. You run the glue, it's double-sided, and then you can glue together whatever it is you're trying to work with. Some other tools that are like minimum tools. Okay, let me go back to these two. So if I've got a liquid glue and a glue runner like this, you don't have to have both. It's whichever you prefer. However, I will say that I use this for some things and this for other things. So you might want to, whichever one you think you would like better, start with it and then add something else. The caveat I will say to that is that do not use something like an Elmer's school glue. It is very watered down and it will last, but it may not last as well as some of these. This Tombow glue is excellent. I love it. Now, I will say this. The Tombow glue, when it gets on your fingers, and when I first started doing crafting with Tombow, I was like, ooh, I don't like this glue, because it would get on my fingers and then it was sticky and yucky. And so then I put a hand sanitizer on my desk, just a little freebie one that comes, you know, in packets, different things that you get some from, or you can just buy it. But that takes that glue off very quickly and easily. Okay, another thing you probably are going to want is some kind of ruler. Now, I have probably a dozen rulers that I like and use. I do like the clear ones, or what I like about this one, this is not the one that I wanted to talk about. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, here we go. So what I like about this one is it helps if you look at it from the top. It has a 0 point. So I can know what is the center of my bone folder. So if I put it here at 3 and there at 3, oh my goodness, the center of it is right there. If I were to get that, say this was, 3 1/4, I could move it down a little bit. I just happened to guess the exact right. It's 6 inches long, and there is the exact middle. Now, another thing that I love about this one is it's got the 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, half, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, and all the 16ths in there. This is one that I got on Amazon, and I love it. And it came with this one, which does the same thing, except that it's got centimeters on this side and inches on that side. So these two came as a pair on Amazon. If you would like that link, I'll be more than happy to get that for you. Another thing I like, is this metal ruler. And I like this one because if I need to, I can, let me see, do I have that? No, there's a cutting blade. Here it is. There is so this is the Take Your Pick tool. And I love the Take Your Pick tool because there are so many other tools, and this is not all of them. But on the Take Your Pick tool, there is a blade that I can put, it goes in the other end. Let me put this one back in here. And go to this end. Oops, I want to take this off. There we go. Put this in there. And if I want to cut, let me cut something that is not a piece of cardstock I'm going to use. I can put this metal ruler on here and use that to cut. Okay, so very easy to do. Now, I am going to take that out and put the other end back in. Where did I put it? I want to put that blade in its protective shield as well, because I don't want to accidentally cut myself or somebody else. Now, I just had the other end. I just took it out. What could I possibly have done with it? Oh, here it is. You guys were going, it's over there. Okay. So put this, now this is the putty end of this, and I'm going to turn that so that the putty comes out. And you see, once I get it started, it will come out a little bit. And then once it kind of stops, I can push this down, and this is good for picking up small bits of whatever I want to pick up. Now, I was talking about tools. Let me put the lid on there. This is not a tool that you have to have when you first start. However, it is an amazingly versatile tool. You will love it. You will eventually want all the little attachments that come with it. It is absolutely wonderful, especially, sorry, that keeps clicking because I'm hitting it. Once you start die cutting, if that is something you want to do. Okay, so this is take your pick. I think it's like $14. I don't think I mentioned scissors. You will want a pair of scissors. You will want scissors, bone folder, paper trimmer, and cardstock, plus envelopes to get started. One other tool that I would suggest to get started, or two other tools to get started, are one, your inks, and I highly recommend Memento black ink. This is Tuxedo ink, and you want a black. You're always going to need black. There are colors, lots of colors, that we have. Stampin' Up! Has 50 of them at any given time. But you're going to want a black ink to start with, okay? You may not want any other colors, but you may, okay? But you definitely are going to want a black ink. The next thing you're going to want is at least a block. Now, we have several. The most used, I guess, block is the D block. And if you look at the edge of this, you can see which size it is. This is a C. This is a B. If I were going to suggest starter blocks, I would do D, C, and B. We no longer have A, but you can always get larger. Now, I will say this. If you do paper pumpkin, your first paper pumpkin, first of all, what is paper pumpkin? Paper pumpkin is a kit that comes in a box. Okay, it comes in a box to your mailbox once a month, and your very first kit, this is not one of the very first kits, but whatever your very first kit is that current month's kit. Hold on, let me pull it out. Comes with a block, okay? It is not an ergonomic block like these, but it does the job. You don't have to have fancy, okay? So this is basically a D block. It's the same size as a D block, but it is free and comes in your first paper pumpkin kit. Okay. It also comes in many of the other kits that we have that are not paper pumpkin. The deal with paper pumpkin is you don't want to know what you're going to get till you get it, but it's most of the time it's absolutely wonderful. Okay. So paper trimmer, bone folder, ruler, envelopes, all different kinds of envelopes, scissors, glue. Eventually, you may very well want that take your pick tool. You definitely will want a block and the black ink. Now, once you have that, those are kind of your basics, okay? Once you have your basics, then you're going to want a stamp set. Oh, and cardstock, of course. All right, let me show you some things about stamp sets. One, there are stamp sets that have dies. Dies need, let me put that back in there. Dies need this is a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and they need a die cutting machine, okay? This is not necessarily something you need to start with, but it is something that you can grow your supplies with if, for example, you want to cut out different objects. There's an alternative, though. There are stamp sets like this one, Woolly Friends, that have, let me pull this out so you can see it. I haven't even used this one yet. I'm so excited to use it. Punches. This is a punch, and I haven't written the name, Woolly Friends Builder Punch. So I will write the name of it on the side, but this is an alternative to the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You don't necessarily have to have dies. Some of your stamp sets are going to have punches. This stamp set, it comes in this packet. You open it up, and this is what you get. Okay, so you've got the lamb, the color in the lamb, that could be some color, maybe a light gray. You've got flowers, you've got stamps to fill in the flowers, you've got the bows, the bell, the little butterfly and its trail, and then you've got sentiments. Now, one of the things you're definitely going to want are stamp sets with sentiments. Some stamp sets will have sentiments like You're Simply Fabulous that are specific to it. But this one, Sending Flowers and Sunshine, Welcome Cutie. Now this one would be specific to a ewe or a lamb. But some of them are not. So you're going to want a sentiment stamp set and maybe a generic-ish. Like this one is a really good generic Christmas stamp set. Okay? You could actually cut these trees out very easily. You don't necessarily have to have the die set for every stamp set. Okay? So, let me put this all back together again. And, whoops, don't want to bend it. Put that away. This is another one for Easter, and it has dies. These dies cut out all of the little things. So we've got it. Let's look at them beside each other. Pull this out. Okay. So we have this little bunny. We've got this little bunny. We've got the flowers. Does not look like we have the carrot, but that would be very easy to cut out. We've got this little bunny. We've got some standalone. Oh, here's the carrot. We do have the carrot. Hello. Y'all were telling me that, weren't you? But there's also some others, like the little Easter basket. How cute is that? This cuts out when you die cut the basket, it cuts out these that you can weave in there for it to look like a real woven basket. Here's the egg. Here's some grass to put in the top of it. You could put some ruffles at the top of it, the bow. I mean, there's lots of cute dies that you can also get if you are interested in adding extra to your order to get a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so you don't have to have punches. If you want punches, though, you're good to go. They will help you to punch out objects before you actually get, if you're ever going to, a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. There's the mini and the regular size. Now, the next thing I suggest is start with a color. Whatever color you want. In other words, this one is Cherry Cobbler. This is the stamp pad. So I can open it up. There's my color. I can then close it up. Okay. I can also get the re-inker that either re-inks this stamp pad when it gets dry or near dry, and does a lot of other techniques. And I can show you some of those eventually. So let me also get the cardstock. So here's what I suggest. We've already talked about, you get your paper trimmer, you get your white cardstock, you get your black ink, you get your bone folder, your envelopes, your ruler of some sort, or just use the ruler on your paper trimmer. You get a couple of blocks, that I already said the black ink. Then you want to start collecting colors. Now, what are the colors that you want to use? If you're buying something now, let's say going into Valentine's, the Cherry Cobbler might be a color that you would like to get. And so you can get the stamp pad, the re-inker, and the cardstock. And you've got what you need for that particular color. That way you can add layers to your card base, whichever way you're going to open it, okay, and have easy color to add to it. All right, that is my beginning supplies that you may like to have. I will put a list of all of these items down below, and you can start. Oh, one other thing. You do probably want to have your dimensionals. Unless you are going to simply stamp directly on your card and have no layers, you are going to want to use dimensionals. Okay, I promise that's the end of my list. All right, so now you know how to make a card base. Either direction, they're all the same size when you're done. You know how to fold them. You know all the beginning supplies that I would suggest that you get. If you have any questions, please let me know. I am more than happy to answer them. I will tell you that this glass mat that you have seen me cut on and fold on and all of that is not something that you need when you start. It's, of course, something you could get when you've got the other things that you think you need. But don't worry about that to start with. Start with the pure basic things that are going to help you to begin stamping and making cards. So thank you. I would love it if you would share this video, subscribe, and I always have a question of the day. So the question for today is, what other types of crafts do you do besides card making? Okay. What other crafts do you do? Maybe it's knitting or crocheting or scrapbooking or whatever it is. What other crafts do you do or have you done besides card making? All right. Have a good one. Don't forget, subscribe, ring that bell so you'll get notifications when I post. Share this video, like this video. Thank you. Have a good one, and Happy New Year.